Round 5 for the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup at the oldest track on the planet. St Moritz in Switzerland saw the birth of sliding sports, bobsleigh and skeleton, both inaugurated, sliding down the valley from St Moritz to the village of Celerina. We're ready for the first of our two heats here. Martin Haven and Nathan Crumpton in the booth. Nathan, tell us about this St Moritz track. It's different from anywhere else you race.
It really is. It is probably the favorite track for most of the skeleton athletes. It's the longest one in the world at over 1,700 meters. It's well over a mile long. Here we have the start. Interestingly enough, the start goes uphill for the first couple steps this year. Then you enter into kink 1, which has been really difficult for most of the athletes this year. One of the most frustrating parts of the track. You try not to hit the right wall here as you enter into kink 2, going uphill, long straightaways, trying to be really quiet, really calm on the sled as you enter into wall corner. Wall's a really long left-hander, trying to remain calm as you enter into snake 1, dipping down into snake 2, and then into sunny corner. Sunny has a beautiful pressure build on it. It's many people's favorite corner in the world, into the Nash-Dixon combination. This sets you up for the critical horseshoe. Horseshoe, the most famous curve in the world for skeleton, spits you out, go into telephone. Telephone will take you into shamrock. Then you enter into a 2 left-hand corner combination. Devil's Dyke right here, and then into the ironically named nameless corner, then 4 consecutive right-hand corners. You start with tree, then you go into bridge, down into leap, and then eventually into Gunter Sachs, where you hit your top speed right here, where the lady should be going well over 80 miles an hour. Finish curve, right here is Portago. You try to avoid the hit on the left because that wall really hurts, and then cross the finish line with hopefully a good time.
Well, the track is hand-built every season, fresh on a path down the woods, so its start record and track record are from the Europa Cup race just a week ago, January the 12th. Air temperature now is up to -4. That's the warmest afternoon we've had this season. Ice still, though, a frosty -10. Well, not frosty anymore, but -10 degrees. There is Jacqueline Lurling and Tina Herman, beg your pardon, who is our World Cup points winner last year and our world champion. Jacqueline Lurling, our winner from Altenburg. There is the hope for Switzerland, Marina Gilardoni. Newly crowned European champion Janine Flock. Katie Eulander off early here. Jacqueline Lurling with a big win early in the new year in Altenburg, Germany. Her first of the season. She's our World Cup points leader. So everybody warming up at the top and standing in the sunshine, almost don't need a coat now. Here's our start draw with 24 women from 15 different nations. Kim Mailmans of Belgium will be the first to go. Top 10 in the world go in a random draw, 6th to 15 on the start list. And then the next 5 in the world into a random draw for the first 5 spots from 16th on down. That represents your position in the World Cup rankings. 20 fastest athletes go through into Heat 2.
And here we have Kim Mailmans from Belgium. She will be the first lady off of the start block today, kicking off the race here in St Moritz.
19th in last year's race, 1 previous racing weekend here, so very inexperienced on this track.
And she does not like this track either. She's one of the few ladies in this field who does not like the St Moritz track. She had a really tough time in training. She's trying to stay calm. You can see that the sled is just wiggling around underneath her just a little bit. She's having these little skids, trying to stay straight. She had an unfortunately really big hit out of horseshoe early on in training. She injured her ankle doing it. It was all swollen up. She was really frustrated, and here she comes into the horseshoe curve itself. Sometimes horseshoe, it's a little bit like playing chicken. You're trying to get as close to the roof as possible without hitting it. Manages to stay clean through there. She should be happy with that, considering how her training went. Oh, takes a little tap there. It's going to scrub some of the speed off, but trying to hold it together as best as she can as she enters this lower portion of the track. These consecutive right-hand turns, you cannot get behind, you cannot skid into them, making the necessary corrections as she enters into Martz here, has a speed of 132.1 kilometers an hour, well over 80 miles an hour as she finishes her first run of the day.
82.1 miles an hour, chin on the ice. Good run from Kim Mailmans. She had a little conversation with the track earlier in the week on her Twitter feed. She said, "You're really beautiful, but you don't like me. Can we be friends this year?" Looks like it's taking a little longer, as you say. She was really, I mean, she was hobbling away after that crash a couple of days ago in training.
She was. I think she should be happy with that. She avoided the big hit out of Horseshoe. Here we see the replay. She sticks her left toe out. That's dropping an anchor, trying to turn the sled, get it to force the sled down and get off of the curve as she exits into telephone, trying to be clean.
Kim Marmans then sets the pressure for everybody else. Next up, Julia Kanakina, 17th last year. Didn't have a single run in the top 20 fastest. First corner crucial. And how difficult is it this year to get out of that first corner without a skid onto this long straight?
It's very difficult. These ladies have they've struggled just as much as the men have. Kink 1 has been really difficult. You either take a little skid into it, or sometimes you'll tap your bunk on the right, trying to set it up for Kink 2.
And after the explosion of the start, for the next 30 seconds, you've just got to be breathlessly still on the sleds before you get to the corners at Snake and Sunny.
Absolutely. The ice is really hard. We saw it. It's at -10°C. It's hard ice. Little twitches, little movements can skid the sled. Here comes Julia through Horseshoe. She got out cleanly that time. She struggled there in training as well. A little bit of a skid coming into the lower portion of the track here. As she's dipping in the red, she's falling a little bit behind Kim as she enters the bottom of the track here.
Again here, speeds 75, 80 miles an hour. She's got a head up, not familiar with the track at all, only 2 races in her career here.
Drifting away by about a quarter of a second here for Julia as she crosses the finish line. In second place, 35 hundredths behind the lead set by Kim Meilemans of Belgium.
Well, Kanakina might struggle to make the second heat. 24 sliders, only the fast 20 go through into the second and deciding heat. Body language tells a lot, doesn't it? She's not overwhelmed with that one.
I don't think she's going to be too happy with the result there. She did avoid some of the mistakes that she made in training, though. I think she was there. You were there with me, Martin, when she came out of Horseshoe one time, clipped the exit and sprayed a bunch of ice shards up at us. Here she is in Horseshoe, again, using that left toe quite liberally to get out of the corner, gets into the following corner, telephone cleanly and without the hit.
Third of our athletes, and the start record is something we need to look at. Moritz-Celerina, Germany, set it at 5:14 last Thursday. This is Marina Gilardoni. She won a junior world championship here as a bobsled great woman. She's a huge starter, and 5:24, a tenth away from the start record.
It's a great start by Marina, and she handled Kink 1 very well. She didn't seem to skid, and she didn't seem to tap the bunks on the sliders right side anyway. Lovely entry here into wall as she makes her way down through the top portion of the track.
Bronze medalist last year, previous 3 years, 19th, 12th and 14th. So last year was a huge step up in her learning.
Definitely. She's switched over to the Bromley X18 last year, and she's really meshed with it well. Again, winning a World Cup medal last year on the sled and hoping to repeat the performance.
Well, no other Swiss woman has won a medal on this track since Maya Pedersen in the 2007 Worlds a decade ago. So can she be in the medals for the second time? 4 tenths up on Kim Marmans.
It's a great lead as she enters the bottom of the track. We'll see what her top speed is. She loses a little bit of control. Her legs come apart. You can hear the whistle of her sled. 133 kilometers an hour. Great speed entering the finish curve. Portago and crossing the finish line with half a second in the bank. 109.86.
Matthias Biedermann, her coach. And you'll probably see Lucy Chafferdan at the bottom of the track, his wife, who's also helping coach here in the green Australian jacket. Good run from Marina Gilardoni. I always think her sliding style looks like Katie Ulender. Knees a lot apart and heels apart as a result, and that's just what works for them. It's such a personal thing.
It really is. It's sliding style. Here we go into Horseshoe. We see she gets some great height, flirting with the roof of that. You're going about 60 miles an hour there, and you don't want to hit that wood, but having some extra height is okay. Give you an extra little boost as you come out for the bottom half of the track.
Race leader Marina Gilardoni. Away goes Katie Ulender from the USA.
Katie, she has had a tough season thus far. It started off with a bang, winning team trials. Oh, she's just trying to stay off that sliders right wall. She manages to do a good job. And Katie is she's had a rough season. She had an infection earlier. She's coming back from that. And looking calm on her sled so far as she enters wall corner.
Bronze in the 2007 World. She won here in 2008. Last time on the track, 2014, she was in 6th position. But she had a whole season away after that and only returned this year.
She did. She's trying to make her comeback, and here she's entering the critical horseshoe curve, entering good height, gets out cleanly as she enters telephone. She is about 2/10 behind the lead as she enters the lower half of the track here.
Faster speed than Gilardoni by 1/10 of a mile an hour. Gap comes down to 1,500. Still a lot of track at high speed to negotiate.
Yes, there is. Here we are, exiting into the top speed portion. We have the speed trap, only 500s behind. Best speed yet, 133.8. That's 83.1 miles per hour.
Clean through the final 2 corners, takes the lead by 600s from Marina Gilardoni.
Katie should be happy with that. I know she's had an uphill battle this season, but this could be the race that gets her back into the mix of things.
Well, sometimes it doesn't take much for an athlete, does it? One little spark of the way things should go, that feeling returns and you go, oh yes, it is still there.
Right, exactly. You just need a good race. You've got to get back in the rhythm, and there it is.
Well, you know, leading at the moment, still 20 sliders to come, but ahead of last year's bronze medalist.
Definitely. Katie's got to be pumped with that. A lot of the ladies have had bad luck with the weather. I know that was the case for Katie last week in Winterberg. Here she is going through that difficult kink 1. See her stick the toe out, try and get through cleanly.
Fast getaway now for Joska LeConte, 7th in last year's race, personal best in St Moritz, 12th and 18 the previous 2 seasons.
Has a start time of 5:37. Decent start there for Joska. I was talking to her just before the race, and she says she loves this track. No equivocation. This is her favorite place to slide.
I think for most athletes, it's so quiet, all you hear is the wind noise in your own heart pumping, right?
That's absolutely true. There's no expansion joints. The snow is so smooth. The ice is smooth. It's soft. And you just listen to the wind as you make your way down this mile-long track.
Another Bromley sled. When we get down to the faster portions of the track, listen to the unique noise signature that these sleds have.
That's very true. The Bromley sleds are known to have a very unique whistle to them. Oh, she takes a little tap there. Her horseshoe line was surprisingly low. We'll see. Her speed seems to be okay, though. She's still in the green. She's got almost 2/10 of a second ahead of Katie. She enters the multiple right-hand corner combination, just taking a light tap there. Top speed of 134 kilometers an hour and 2/10 of a second lead, entering the finish curve here.
Great run from Joska LeConte and a new track record. Now, I'm not sure she's ever had a track record in her World Cup career, but she has today. Now, don't forget the track records are set afresh every year, but Maxi Just, who won the Europa Cup race here last Thursday, set the track record, and Joska LeConte has blown through it.
That's
by
right.
100th of a second.
100th of a second, there you go. And it may not be the last track record of the day. As you mentioned before, it's a new track every year, so every year they reset the start record and the track record. There she goes, just taking that little tap on the sliders right wall. I believe that was out of bridge, then coming out of Guntersachs into the top speed portion. Joska's got to be pumped with that, though.
Yeah. Track record for Joska LeConte. She leads, 5 down, 21 sleds still to go here in St Moritz.
Now we have Janine Flock.
Janine Flock on a hat-trick. She's won the last 2 outings on this track, including taking the European Championship gold last season.
And another slider on the Bromley sled. 48.1 kilometers an hour at the start, looking relaxed, spotting her entry into wall, that long straightaway. It's about 100 meters of ice going into the wall corner here. Long left-hander, setting up for Snake 1 and Snake 2.
2 straight wins on this track. She had never been on the podium before, so that change of sled did have a big effect.
It did. She's liking her Bromley sled. She's got the Rathberger runners on again. Spots her entry, fiddling around, going late into horseshoe. She likes that. Oh, takes a little tap. We heard it. Sliders left going into telephone.
Almost the same top speed we saw from Joska LeConte, 62 miles an hour.
Here she enters the 4 right-hand corner combination. If you get behind here, it's really difficult to get it back. She's holding her line well, a little bit of a break in her runners right there. Top speed of 134.6 kilometers per hour, 83.6 miles an hour. She crosses the finish line here in
New track record, 109.29, and that is a big step forward from 109.66 of Joska Lecomte. That is a long way inside the existing track record.
Nearly 4/10 of a second into the lead. She's got to be happy with that.
Well, she's got the experience, she's got the kit, she's got the physique as well. Long and lean and air cheating, and that discipline that learning at Eagles about cheating the air, that really works for her here as well.
It does. Janine's form is impeccable on the sled. She's so calm. She's always collected. Spots her entries correctly. Here she goes through horseshoe, taking a reasonably high line, peaking right in the middle of the corner, driving it out. Just missed the exit, but she'll take it.
Quick getaway now for Lelda Pregelena. Last year in 10th place, the last 3 seasons, 14th, 21st and 23rd. So she's improving with every time at this track.
She is. She's getting used to her sled and the setup and the whole World Cup tour.
Training, 20th on the first day, 23rd on the second day, 9th on the last day of training. So she's dialing herself in when it matters.
That's what you want to see. Because the track is made new every single year, it does have its own quirks, and you do have to figure it out over the course of the 3 training days.
Kind of opposite in terms of height to our leader, Janine Flock. So she has less height, less mass. She's going to have to be even more still on the sled to get the best out of her.
Her time's just dropping away a little bit from her. She took that hit out of horseshoe into telephone, entering the lower portions of the track. She's going to try. Her form is great. Her lines are all right. And we'll see if she can actually get back some of that time.
She's our reigning junior world champion in women's skeleton. 4 tenths back. This will be 4th place at the moment, slipping away to 5th place. Setup is not working on her Ducour sled at all.
She took a big hit there out of Martineau corner as well. It doesn't help her cause as she goes uphill into the finish corner of Cortago.
Well, we saw Martins Ducours win an hour or so ago, hour and a half ago, on the Ducours built sled. And Lelda Pregelena also with the same equipment, may not have the same runners, same setup. I mean, she's an awful lot different physically, but she's got a hit on the right shoulder. That's another thing about this track. The walls are much more like rough concrete. They really grab you when you make that hit.
They are. These walls are very sharp. I just saw my teammate Matt Antoine. He took a hit in the men's race, bleeding all through his speed suit. Oof. It's not pleasant to take those hits, as you can see Lelda holding her right arm.
Yeah. Laura Dees, 5th last year for Great Britain. Bronze medal on this track 2 seasons ago. This is only her 4th race here. Training, she was 10th, 9th, 3rd.
She's getting a hang for the track. She has a great start, 5:30 at the start. She's using her BlackRock sled with, I believe, some Bromley runners on it. Heads tucked, spotting this entry into wall as it goes slightly uphill into the long left-hander.
You have to try not to breathe here because you've just been sprinting at nearly 2,000 meters of altitude. Your lungs must be burning.
It takes a very conscious effort to remain calm and just breathe as little as possible as you make your way down this mile plus of ice.
Nice line out of Sunny into Nash and Dixon, named after the 64 two-man gold medal winners from the St Moritz Bob Club.
Late line into horseshoe, almost clips the roof. Really flirting with that high line there for Laura. Exits with 99.6 kilometers an hour.
It's just below the top speed we've seen of 100. 1700s behind. She needs to be perfect here to find that speed at the bottom.
Exing out of Gunter Sachs here, and a little bit of a speed on the entry. Speed of 133.9. It's 83.2 miles an hour.
Just shy of the top speed. She'll go out to about a quarter second away, nearly 3 tenths.
Into second place, though. There's Coach Eric Bernotis. He's happy with that result.
Bernotis, the last man to win on this track before Martins Ducours started dominating proceedings 8 years ago. Laura Dees currently lying in 2nd spot, but nearly 3 tenths behind Janine Flock. It's a big margin.
It is a big gap, but Laura should be happy. Here you see her line through horseshoe, getting quite close. I'd say within about 6 inches of hitting that roof. And then just gets on, sneaks into the entry of that corner, and sitting in 2nd place.
2 tenths, I think, behind Janine.
Mirella Reneva of Canada next up. She won both of the Europa Cup races, the junior tier of sliding here last January. This is only, though, her 2nd weekend in Switzerland.
She's an explosive starter. We should see one of the top start times of the women's field today by Mimi here. 5:18, that's fantastic. 0.04 of a second away from the start record here. This should give her a nice head start as she makes her way down the track. She's had some good training here. She's had a fantastic season. This is her rookie year on the World Cup, and she's already won 2 medals. A fantastic start for Mimi this year.
2 bronze medals in her first season, and as you say, good training. 21st and 21st the first 2 days, then 5th yesterday's final training day.
She's figuring it out, and that's what it takes. You have to try some stuff, you have to see what works, what doesn't, and then make your way down the track.
And holy cow, look at the lead. 4/10 out of Sunny, 4/10 out of Horseshoe.
Pulling away.
Over the double winner in the last 2 seasons.
This is a fantastic run by Mimi. She's got to hold it together now, entering these right-hand combination turns. Can't let it get away. She sticks that. Coming out.
Sounds like a Bromley sled. I'm not sure if she's on one like Elizabeth Archer. 6,500 up. What a run from Celerina-Cresta. No wonder she won in Europa Cup. Oh my word.
108.49, going away by 0.8 of a second.
That is insane. Are we sure that's not Martin Ducos? Can we just check when she takes her helmet off?
We may have to have a double check here.
Wow. Wow, that's a ridiculous speed from Celerina-Cresta. She can hit everything in sight on the second run and still be happy.
That was a phenomenal run. She's got to be pumped with that. Great lines, great speed, and a fantastic start. Top to bottom, wonderful.
Well, Mimi's got lots of start records under her belt from Europa Cup and Intercontinental Cup racing. Next up is our Olympic champion. Now, she is the woman who ruined Shelley Rudman's run. Shelley Rudman, the winningest athlete on this track in the women's race, won 3 in a bounce, then silver behind Lizzie Arnold in 2012, then won the Worlds, and then bronze the next year. So 3 wins, a silver and a bronze in 5 seasons.
She knows how to slide this track. She's a great slider.
Lizzie Arnold, the winner in 2012, but it's her only win here in St Moritz, a track she loves to death.
It's easy to see why, too. So long, so smooth. Exiting Sunny into the Nash-Dixon combination, little left, and then a right setting up for the critical horseshoe here. Goes right into there. Using that toe, exiting cleanly into telephone, but drifting away about 0.6 behind Mimi.
Last race here, she was in 6th position. That wasn't last season, that was the year before in February 2015.
Drifting even farther behind, 0.8 of a second back. I'm wondering if she maybe chose the wrong runners for today.
It's entirely possible. On the Badrutt sled in 5th place ahead of Katie Ulender of the USA. Will she hold that at the line? She does. In 4th place ahead of Joska Leconte, but behind teammate Laura Dees by 0.08 of a second. Certainly not out of medal contention yet.
Definitely not. Currently sitting in 4th place, not a bad slide. I think we just saw a fantastic one by Mimi in the run beforehand. But Lizzie, here she goes, entering horseshoe. Uses that left toe very early, then sticks it out again, trying to turn the sled, get the sled to come down, and have that clean entry into telephone.
Well, lots to think about for Lizzie Arnold. 10 sleds down, 14 to go, and Mimi Reniva of Canada has a frankly insane lead.
She does. It was a great run by Mimi. We'll see if any of these other ladies can catch her.
The voice of Nathan Crumpton, who raced an hour or so ago in the men's skeleton race. This is Anna Fenstedt, 20-year-old, twice raced here before in Europa Cup, 23rd, 20th and 15th on the 3 days of training this week.
Not the best starter in the field, but she is an excellent driver. She's on the German-made FES sled, their Federation-made sled. Very comfortable with it, looking relaxed on the sled, and trying to make back some of this time from the slow start that she had.
Well, Fenstedt already lined 6th in the World Cup rankings after her first ever 4 races in the World Cup. 2 4th places at Lake Placid and Altenburg, so she clearly likes a driver's track as well.
She does. Königssee is her home track. As she takes that little tap, going into telephone, skidding and taking another little tap, going into Devil's Dyke here.
First ever World Cup race here. She's not won at Europa Cup level either, so she's still to really unlock this track's secrets.
It's a challenge for everyone. Here she goes into the top speed portion of the track at 134.8 kilometers an hour into the finish curve, crossing with a lot of height there, takes the smack and goes into 6th place.
Well, that was big speed at the bottom. She was 11th fastest. She was 9th out of Devil's Dyke and pulled herself up into 6th place, hanging out there for the speed, especially out the final corner.
Definitely.
Really was.
She might have a sore arm there. We'll see. Oh, yeah.
She's got 2 sore arms, I think. Big hit in exiting that final corner. She will definitely have felt that.
Not a pleasant feeling at all. Here she goes, is the exit of Horseshoe, takes it low, comes out, and just a little bit too early, clipping that uptake going into telephone.
Anna Vanstedt heads home next weekend to Koenigsegg, and the World Championships will be there as well in 4 weeks' time. Next up, our double winner this season, Elizabeth Vace, broke her duck and won the season opener in Whistler after more than a year of disappointment last season. Won again in Winterberg last weekend.
Liz has had a great season. She had that fantastic first year on the World Cup. Bit of a dip last year, a little bit of a disappointment, and she's coming back really strong, holding great form. Her head nice and low. She's rolling corner here.
Well, her form here tells you everything you need to know about the last 2 years. 2 years ago, her breakout World Cup season, she was 2nd, beaten by Janine Flock. Last year, only 11th.
Yep. She'll be looking for some redemption here this year as she enters into the Nash-Dixon combination and coming into Horseshoe.
9th at the start, 5th out of Sunny.
Decent exit out of Horseshoe there.
3rd place out of Horseshoe.
Oh, takes a little bit of a bump there.
Just a little away on the top speed. Top speed 101. She was 100.9. Gaps drifting out up to 2nd place. Long skid, long skid.
Another one. Oh, this is not the run that Liz wants to have. Drifting even farther back now. 66 hundredths of a second back as she enters Portago, the finish corner.
Challenging Janine Flock for 2nd, and she is a 10th behind in the bronze medal position. Well, there's Ivo, her coach, but her Bromley sled really set up loose for speed there. She was fairly drifty in the fast portions.
Yes, it's actually interesting. The top 3 sleds right now are all Bromley-made sleds. Mimi's, Janine's, and Liz's.
Joska Leconte in 5th on the Bromley as well.
Oh, there she goes. She takes a tap on that slider's right side, hitting the bunks, hopefully avoiding the hit on her shoulder. She goes into a big skid there. You can see her feet kick out, trying to counterbalance the sled and stop it. But that definitely bled some speed for Liz.
13th start for our reigning world champion, Tina Hermann. Silver on the track last year behind Janine Flock. Let's see what she can produce. Training times for her, 19th, 22nd, and 2nd fastest on the final day of training.
She had a great day of training yesterday, fastest and 2nd fastest. We'll see if she can put together the run today and hopefully come away with a medal for her. She's using, you can see, look, her right toe just keeps coming out, just making these quick, small little corrections, trying to hold the line going into wall corner here.
9th fastest start. See what she can find further down the track.
Going into snake 1, snake 2, and then into the beautiful sunny corner.
Up to 7th on the splits, but already the gap to Mimi Reneva is half a second.
Bit of toe correction there into Dixon, finding her line with the Horseshoe.
Very busy with the toes and the hips, isn't she? Constantly wriggling on the sled.
Yep, trying to find that line. Breaks out into a little bit of a skid there.
98.9, we've seen 101 there. She's a long way shy on speed.
She is. It's drifting back 0.8 of a second back of Mimi.
All those adjustments cost. Every time you move, it cuts a bit of ice.
Certainly does. 134.9 kilometers an hour.
A full mile an hour slower, nearly 3 kilometers down on top speed. 4th place. Well, she pulled it out in the final 2 corners. Martino Portago, you almost think it's over by then, but you can find or give away a lot of speed there.
You certainly can, as the men's race showed earlier today.
109.52, comfortably inside this morning what was the track record, but she finds herself a 2nd behind Mimi Reneva. I think everybody's going to be looking at Mimi's time going, what?
There she goes. She just clips a little bit of uptake, and then here into telephone, also just tapping that slider's left side.
Yeah, got pushed away in Dixon. World Cup points leader is Jacqueline Lurling, 4th on this track last year. Hasn't been in the medals at the senior level.
Jacqueline also not the fastest starter here. She's been in the gym. She's been working really hard trying to improve her start times. Excellent driver, one of the tallest ladies in the field here. Oh no, she takes a little skid and then a tap on the slider's right side, exiting kink 1.
Won the Europa Cup race here in January 2015 ahead of Kendall Wessenberg.
Here she goes, entering into the long left-hander wall corner. This is where she can start building some momentum. It goes flat, and then right here into snake 1, there's a big drop on the exit, and you can start building some speed, and hopefully Jackie can make some time back here.
Well, again, she's a slider with impeccable form, heels together, uses the head to steer a lot. So a lot of that in the men's race out of the horseshoe here.
Oh, big hit on the entry to telephone. That was not the horseshoe that she was looking for. Still has over 100 kilometers an hour in speed, though.
Broke into a big skid beyond the apex in horseshoe. She was trying to come down 9/10 back. A top 10 run at best.
Another skid. Oh, this is not the run that Jackie was looking for. We'll see if she can hold on and have a decent result here.
Well, we thought Elizabeth Vache's sled looked loose. This really defines a skiddy run, doesn't it?
It really does. Maybe she, 6th place.
How did she do that?
She is a driver's driver. She does carry a lot of momentum going into the bottom of the track. Not bad overall, but I know she'll want to clean up a lot of the spots there on that run.
Well, the exit of horseshoe looked like it was going to turn into something frightening as she got to the high point. The sled broke into a big skid.
It did. She had a very unorthodox entry into horseshoe. Here we go, looking at the kink, and then she takes that little tap, and it's hard. She does make a good correction, because once you take that tap, it's hard to get off that right wall. She does a decent job. Here's the exit of horseshoe. Oh, just clips that uptake, shoots a bunch of ice up into the air. Yep. She'll try to get it cleaner on the second run.
Very bumpy. Well, here is Kendall Wessenberg, silver medal in the Europa Cup 2 years ago. I beg your pardon, yes, so it is. Annie O'Shea, 6th last year.
Annie using that karate chop method, going through kink 1, trying to turn the sled and get it on the right line going into kink 2. Oh, just wavering a little bit, not quite enough. Just going back and forth, left and right, not as settled as she wants to be on the sled. Exiting the wall here and into snake 1.
Well, good start, 5:26 left, only 800ths behind leader Mimi Reneva. That is now nearly 6/10 of a second.
Here she goes, entering Nash and into Dixon, setting it up for horseshoe, going pretty middle, right dead center into horseshoe. Not the highest of lines, but takes a nice clean exit. Oh, clips a little bit out there and going into Shamrock, and then another little tap right before Devil's Dyke.
6th last year, her only ever top 10 finish here. In 2015, she was 23rd.
She had a terrible race that time. She actually hit the roof of horseshoe 2 years ago, smacked it going 60 miles an hour, and her run was done from there.
13th place off the 4th fastest start. It does look maybe like quite a few of these sliders have more of a rock for speed, and they thought there'd be more control than there is.
It could be a setup issue with Annie. It was not a terrible run. I would say it was actually cleaner than Jacqueline Lolling's run, but something didn't quite add up for Annie there as she finds herself sitting in 13th place so far.
And that might well leave her way down towards the bottom of the top 20 by the end of the heat. Zach Lund with her. Body language tells us everything.
There we go. Oh, she does take a tap on her right bunks there, coming out of the kink, and then just can't quite get it straight, just wrestling with the sled the whole top of the track. See it drifting left to right, not quite where they wanted.
Kimberly Boss of the Netherlands. 2 Europa Cup races here last January. She was 2nd. And final day of training, she was 14th fastest.
Coming off of her career best World Cup finish in Winterberg last week, she's going to try and carry that momentum through here to St Moritz. Using that left toe, staying off the wall, looks like one of the cleaner kink 1s that we've seen as she enters kink 2 here. Using her head to try and steer the sled, very subtle steering for Kim here. Takes a late entry in the wall though, that might hurt her. We'll see how she comes out.
As you say, first World Cup season, 4 races in, she was 7th in Winterberg. That's effectively her home track.
She took a slide out of Snake 1 and Snake 2. That's probably going to hurt her speed. As she exits Sunny, going into Nash, Dixon still throwing her toes out, trying to counterbalance and correct the sled. Late line into Horseshoe. Oh, she had a good exit. She made that work somehow. That was scarily close to the roof there.
Luck or judgment, one or the other. You'll take it however it comes. Well, she was 10th at the split, now up to 9th place. Speed picking up.
Entering the top speed portion of the track here. These series of right-hand corners, trying not to bring into a skid. 135.1, that's solid speed, 83.9 miles an hour.
9th place, could climb another spot at the line. She's 7th ahead of Lizzie Arnold and Joska LeComte.
Good result for Kim there. She should be very happy with that.
Said this last weekend as well, ahead of the Olympic champion Kimberly Boss. That never is a bad thing.
Never a bad day when you get the better of the reigning Olympic gold medalist. Here it is in Horseshoe. She gets so close. She may have actually just touched the roof
There's
there.
ice.
That is the, oh yes, she does. Her bunk
There's
tip.
chalk dust.
Yep, you can see the evidence just flying off of that bunk. She is very lucky to get away with that line. Flirting with disaster.
She didn't panic and she must have felt the rush of speed right after it. Now then, Canada lead, Canada third, Jane Channel next up. 9th here last year, 7th the season before. So she's got absolute top 10 potential.
She does, and she also has a fantastic start. Like Mimi. Mimi and Jane go back and forth. They've got a very healthy, competitive relationship, always trying to push each other. 5:17, fantastic start. Great first 50 meters for Jane here.
300s away from the track record and faster than Mimi Reneva.
Great line from Kink 1 into Sunny. Dead straight, picture entry, coming through and holding her form as best as she can. Not a bad run so far for Jane.
Exiting the start corner, 30.2 to 30.3 miles an hour of the leader, and that's following her down the track, that slight deficit in pace.
Here she comes out of Dixon, picks her line into Horseshoe, going in a little bit later than she wanted, gets good height and a nice clean exit. Beautiful.
Smooth as you like. Now then, 4 tenths behind. The gap might start to come down.
But she didn't quite have the speeds there. She was at 98 and change. We've seen some of these ladies over that 100-kilometer-an-hour mark. So maybe there was a setup issue with Jane here. It's a decent-looking run, but she does not have as much speed. 132.8. Oh, it's drifting away for her, unfortunately.
Yeah, 2 miles an hour off the pace at the bottom. She started fastest. Her progress, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 8th, 12th through the speed traps.
Just bleeding away time, unfortunately. It was a decent-looking run, but something's there with her equipment that we can't quite see, and poor Jane.
Yep, we're here. 17 sleds safely down with Jane Channel. Next up, Kendall Wessenberg of the USA. 8th place last year, 2nd in Europa Cup. January 2015, her only other appearance on this track. Final day of training in the top 6, Nathan Crumpton.
Yes, she has been flying. Her start times aren't the fastest. She's coming back from a hip surgery, still trying to find her form. 5:40, 15th fastest start, but in training anyway, she had some of the top speeds at the bottom of the track. She loves this track. It is one of her favorite, if not the favorite in the world. Looking great on her sled, nice and calm, letting the sled run, melting into that sled, and trying to build as much speed as she can down this St Moritz track.
We talk a lot about athletes being quiet on the sled physically, but here you can hear the corrections as the scratching noises.
You can. Sometimes you can hear the helmets. The helmets will scratch onto the ice a little bit as she enters Horseshoe here. Gets a nice clean exit. Speed of 100.9 kilometers an hour. Takes a little bit of a skid, but she should be good from here on down.
Up to 9th on the splits from a 15th start. Up to 4th position, Kendall Wessenberg of the USA.
Just building the speed. This is a great looking run from Kendall. The bottom portion of the track is fantastic. Wonderful lines.
Hardly a scrape, hardly a drag. 84.1 miles an hour, about 3rd quickest through the speed traps. Top 4, 2nd place.
What
ahead
a run
of last year's winner, Janine Flock. Ahead of double winner, Janine Flock.
Great run by Kendall. She has got to be pumped with that.
If she's not, we need to check her pulse.
Absolutely. I'm sure her mom and dad are watching back home in Modesto, California. And what a fantastic run by Kendall. Big smile from her.
Who's got the biggest smile, Kendall or Zach Lunder, coach there?
Here she is going through horseshoe, peaks right in the center under the horseshoe sign, drives the sled out, and had a beautiful exit going into telephone.
Right in the middle of all the lines there, look at that. Great run from Kendall Westenberg. Mimi Reniva, Kendall Westenberg, Janine Flock, the top three. 19th of our 24 sleds, Maria Oliver. Maria's best result here in 7th place, 2014. It's not often been a track that's been kind to the Russian girl.
No, it hasn't. A few of the Russian ladies have been struggling. A good start for Maria, though. 5:20, third fastest start of the heat.
Well, struggled to find a top 10 run in training.
We'll see if she can put it together on race day, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Training is one thing and racing is another. Oh no, she takes a little tap, sliders right going into S1 and scrapes off the curve, bleeding a lot of speed out there.
4300s back, third fastest at the start, down to 6th position on the split times.
Entering horseshoe here, taking a very late line into horseshoe, getting way high there.
Well, avoids the hit that she had when we were stood there watching on your track walk.
Slowly, so it is an improvement, making some progress here.
But 15th at the moment from the third fastest start. This is turning into a horror story. 18th, she will be last in the field.
Leading away speed.
Or possibly just ahead of teammate Yulia Kanakina. Possibly not. 82 miles an hour, 84.8 is the fastest at the bottom.
Crossing the finish line in 18th spot.
Just ahead of her teammate. Wow, not what the Russian coaches would have been hoping for. And Maria, what a disappointment for her.
Yes, it is. She'll be looking for an improvement if she makes this second heat, but a struggle all the way down, unfortunately.
Maria Oliver, 19th position.
Here we go. We see her tap taking sliders right just before she enters Sunny. Goes late there, sorry, into Snake 1, and that threw her line off.
Might make the second heat, but that is very much in the balance. 20th of our 24 sliders to complete the top 20 will be Aussie Jacqueline Narracott. 14th and 22nd on her last two races here.
Uses that toe just before entering kink 1. Still takes a tap. Oh, double tap there out of kink 1. That's what you try and avoid. If you take one, that's okay, but you don't try and let it build and take 2 or 3. Looking good, though, from kink 2 into wall corner here. Seems like she's found her form, and hopefully will have a good rest of the run.
Another one of the coaches, another one of the athletes being coached by Martin Rettel. She's on a Bromley sled as well. 16th fastest start, but drifting away to 18th position.
She may have scrubbed just a little bit too much speed there at the top of the track. Here she goes into horseshoe, taking a nice middle entry there. Good heights. Oh, just quick stop take going into telephone.
20th place.
Takes the tap out as well. Oh, she's not going to be happy about that. We'll see if she can bring it back together, build some more speed, and maybe gain a few spots back at the bottom.
Lots of toe dragging. Up to 19th position, huge skid though into Sachs.
Out of Sachs, hitting top speed, 132.7.
18th place, trying to find herself a position in the race, using the Bromley sled speed to 17th. Something that neither of the Russians could do is find speed at the bottom, and the Aussie has managed to do so.
Hopefully that sees Jackie through into the final round.
Jaslyn, as she's been called by our track announcer, Guido. So 1.9 away, but 17th. She could well make the second heat, but that magnetic right wall.
It is. It's hard to get it out of that groove. There we go. Exiting horseshoe, also takes the hit. Entering telephone. So a couple mistakes there Jackie could definitely improve upon, but we'll see if she gets that second run.
Mirella Reniva leads. 4 to go in the first heat. First up, Nozomi Komuro of Japan. Last here in 2014, where she was 22nd. That's actually her best 11th back in 2010. That's some while ago.
Nozomi, the newly minted Japanese national champion, joining the World Cup Tour here. She's got great positioning, head low, keeping those runners straight. Light little toe correction, coming here into the wall corner.
Didn't make the cut in Altenburg, didn't make the cut in Winterberg.
We'll see if she has better luck here today. Decent line through snake 1, snake 2 as she enters Sunny here, the second behind.
In 21st place on the split. She needs a good exit from Horseshoe to try and accelerate the sled for the bottom part of the track.
Late line into Horseshoe and low too. It's an interesting line.
Smooth exit, but she steered a lot to hold that low line.
Takes a tap there on the slider's right side going into the Devil's Dyke.
Still 21st on the splits, behind Yulia Kanakina in 20th.
See if she can find something in the bottom couple corners here. She'll be fighting to get into the top 20 spot and make the finals here. I don't know if she has enough speed, 130.9.
Doesn't look like it, 21st place. And she does not make the second heat. Well, it was a big day for the Japanese men. Both of them had a good run in both heats. But unfortunately, Nozomi Komuro does not make the second heat here in St Moritz.
No, it'll be one and done for Nozomi, unfortunately.
Lucy Chaffer competed against Nozomi for many years, now helping with the coaching. Unfortunately, that's the end of the day for Nozomi Komuro. And the pink helmet of Yelena Nikitina, 12th last year, 17th the year before, 14th the season before that, 15th in the World Championships in 2013. Kind of, you know, bouncing around somewhere in that 15 to 20, maybe verging towards the top 10.
Right, but never a top 10 finish here from the defending Olympic bronze medalist and one of the fastest push starters in the field.
And in training, barely in the top 20 on all of her slides. 5:14 ties the start record of Tamara Seah.
Well, that's an excellent start. We'll see if she can use that momentum and hopefully build on it. And hopefully have a good run here. Because Elena, she does struggle on this track and she's already dipped into the red.
With all that speed, she just has to remain utterly quiet and let the sled do its job.
She does, and that's what she's looking to do here. She's looking calm. She's holding the lines, maybe a little bit of a skid and a toe correction there. Legs coming out just a bit as she spots her entry into Horseshoe here.
Bit of a cowbell. Somebody obviously thinks she's Swiss. Oh, trying to hold the sled up as she steers right with her head.
Takes that little bit of a clip. Oh, skidding and going into Devil's Dyke there.
Well, currently in 8th place on the splits. At the moment, she's on target for, well, she was into Horseshoe. She's now down to 17th.
It's drifting away from her, unfortunately. The lines are okay. I don't know if she has a good feel for the track, or maybe it's an equipment setup, and her speed is not there either.
Well, you worry about the Russians. When Willy Schneider was coaching them and developing the sleds, their Schneider sleds, he had all the information and gave it all to the Russians. Now, the three Russians are 19th, 20th, and 21st.
Knocking Yulia Kanakina out of the finals here.
Maria Oliver on the bubble, and only 400s ahead of her, Elena Nikitina, the Olympic bronze medalist. And I worry for the Russians with Schneider sleds and no Schneider. How much do they actually have going for them?
She sticks that left toe out, trying to drag the sled around the corner, exiting, and let's see, does she hit? Yeah, she does clip a little bit of that uptake.
Well, her head was steering up, but she was dragging with the left toe to rotate it in the other direction. She wasn't quite sure where she was going.
Wasn't. It was a little bit of a confused steer there.
Maria Montejano of Spain, 3 races here before in the Europa Cup. She's been improving about a second a day on her training runs in her first World Cup competition in St Moritz.
She'll need a good result here. She is riding a Duker's made sled, and she's looking calm so far. We'll see if she can build a little bit more speed coming down the track. She did struggle a little bit in training earlier this week, but she's looking okay so far as she makes her way through Snake 1 and 2.
20th fastest at the start, holds 20th place. This will bump Maria Oliver, big skid, Nash and Dixon, a horror story.
Yeah, that was a rough Nash-Dixon combination for Maria there. Just skidding and hitting walls. Hits on the entry to telephone as well.
Down to 22nd.
Hit on the right as well. 95 kilometers an hour, not the greatest speed that we've seen today.
About a mile and a half an hour away from the top speeds. 23rd position, slipping out of contention here. Big, huge skid into Salah.
She just does not have enough control. Runner setup, sleds it up, might be too aggressive. She has no grip and she's sliding all over the place.
A little bit like we saw from Lelda Pregelena, also on a Ducours sled, who's in 15th place. It was very loose. And Maria Montejano won't replicate what her teammate Anna Mirambel did in the first heat, the personal best result in St Moritz.
23rd for Maria. Unfortunately, she does not make the cut going into the finals today.
Maria Oliver and Yelena Nikitina hang on at the bottom of the table.
Still a smile on Maria's face. She's always happy. Here we see the replay. Nash going into Dixon, takes a skid and kicks up a bunch of snow and ice there on the entry to Dixon.
Yeah, set up for speed, but not enough control. Final slider from the Virgin Islands. Jungfrau Inseln, apparently, is the German for Virgin Islands. I didn't know that Jungfrau, as in the mountain, meant virgin, but there you go. So Katie Tannenbaum, whose name in German, of course, means Christmas tree.
Exactly.
Katie got it all going on.
She loves this track. I was just talking to her before the race, and she says it's the smoothest, greatest sliding experience that she's ever had. Getting through kink 1 into kink 2, taking that right toe out, just correcting her line as she makes her way into wall here.
24th at the start. Let's see if she can pick up a little bit of pace.
She does struggle at the start just a little bit. She has to have some impeccable lines going down the track if she hopes to make it into the top 20 and into the finals.
Little toast here in Sunny and tries to correct the line. Nash still has the hit in Dixon.
Spots her entry into Horseshoe. Going through Horseshoe, you can hear her head dragging on the ice actually. It has a clean exit there.
Still 24th spot, speed 60.5 to 63 miles an hour for the top girls.
Here we go, the first of the 4 right-hand corners. There's the second one, bridge, coming down into leap. Oh, takes the tap on the sliders right, out of sacks. Top speed of 132.2 for Katie here.
Up to 22nd, but 3 taps from the last clock to the line means 22nd at the line. So 110.92 for her. So she is ahead of Nozomi Kimura of Japan and Maria Montejano. But 22nd place means that she will not make the second heat.
Just missing it by 2 spots. Unfortunate for Katie. Her day is done now. Here we go, seeing the replay coming out of Sunny. Takes it really late into Nash.
Big skid going into Nash, and then late pressure hits the wall in Dixon. And that sort of took the rhythm away for the run.
No, still can't have those mistakes going down the track there.
Relatively inexperienced on this track. 20th in the World Cup here last year, but doesn't make the cut. At the head of our field, though, and this could be a sensational story, Marila Reneva. Mimi, 3rd fastest at the start, but leads by 0.8 of a second from what is effectively a dead heat for second. Kendall Wessenberg 100th ahead of double winner on this track in the last 2 years, Janine Flock of Austria. But Mimi Reneva, I don't know what she had, but like those kite surfers, she is flying high. See what I did there? Kendall Wessenberg, they're not kite surfers, they're paragliders, whatever. But look at the battle for second. Lisbeth Arche only a 10th away, and then Tina Herman, Laura Dees, big battle with Jacqueline Lurling potentially and Kimberly Boss to finish in the top half dozen. And the nature of this track, despite its long length, is that you do get tight battles. Lizzie Arndl Jostler-Kont tied 100th behind Kimberly Boss of the Netherlands, and then another little battle at 4 or 500s. Anna Fenstedt, Katie Eulander, Jane Channel, Marina Gilardoni just outside the top 10. Way down to the bottom of the top 20 before we find any of our Russians. Elena Nikitina just ahead to Maria Oliver. Kanakina, Tannenbaum, Kimura and Montejano join the spectators in the sunshine at the end of the first heat. The fast 20 go through into our second and deciding run. Join Nathan Crumpton and me, Martin Haven, with us to the IBS TV crew for the second and deciding heat. 14:30 local time, 13:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Adjust that to wherever you are. We'll be back with all the action to decide who wins the medals here. It could be a massive day for Canada, and particularly for Mimi Reneva. If you're going to win and you can't win in Canada, this is the place you want to take your first ever World Cup victory. Find out if she can do it in 35 minutes.